Hey, welcome back. I'm Paul, and today I think I've got enough rocks to start a load in the lot-0 tumbler. I run them in my rotary tumblers in coarse grit until they're ready to go to medium, and then I move them over to the lot-0 tumbler, and I was going to just do a little bit more detailed video on kind of start to finish on the lot-0 tumbler, and today's the day. I got enough, I think. So we're going to look at some of the rocks that we're putting in. I've got some, it's a Bahia agate. It's pretty well all smoothed down and ready for medium grit. And another Bahia agate. I'm going to have quite a few of these. I bought a few pounds of them a while back, and they've slowly been coming out of the coarse grit. This is another one. It's got a little band of quartz right there you can see. And then I don't know what the white material of it's just the agate there. And I've got a piece of petrified wood. This is my favorite piece. It's the first one I ever found. And I finally decided I would tumble it. I didn't tumble it for a long time because I liked the way it looked, but it looks so much like a piece of wood. But I decided I would try polishing it. And I've got a crazy lace agate. That one's got some pretty neat patterns on it. And a couple more Bahia agates. That one's just nothing. This one's got some pretty cool designs and bands going on in it. It's got a lot of neat colors. Oh yeah, it's got quartz on this side. Nice quartz pocket. You can see that that's softer, and as I ran it in coarse grit, that ate away faster, but I think it looks pretty cool. It's got a lot of neat stuff going on. I think it'll be pretty nice when it's polished. And this is just some random stuff. Another Bahia agate. That one's got like kind of waterline almost. Maybe it wouldn't be waterline, I don't know, but it's got the bands. Maybe they just have bands like that. Little piece of jasper. I got a piece of just clear quartz. And that's some random stuff. I don't know what it is. More clear quartz. Oh, that was a piece of something from another tumble I was doing. I had one left over. There's a Botswana agate. It's got some pretty cool. I really like the bands on those. The first time I saw those, I thought they were really cool. So I ordered some. There's another Botswana agate. And another Botswana agate. That one's got it's really dark and really faint lines in it. It's almost hard to see it. It's a pink in the middle. It's almost hard to see the bands when it's wet. That's another Bahia agate. And another one of those. What else do we have in here? I don't know what that is. I think this one is labradorite. I don't know if I can make it in the camera, but you can kind of see the blue and green rainbow flashes in it right there. So we'll give that a polish. Another miscellaneous random thing. I think that's just a piece of jasper. Yeah. Some more jasper and a random agate. Another Botswana agate. That one we're going to have to get some close-ups of when it's done because it's got really cool patterns, but you can't see it in the camera. Whatever this green rock is, I don't even know what it is. I could go online and probably look it up, and I've seen it before for sale, and I can't remember what they call it, but I ended up with a piece in a random box I got. There's another Bahia agate. And another piece of jasper. Alright, a Botswana. More jasper and jasper and jasper. And that is actually a really small piece of the labradorite with the rainbow flashes in it. I can see it, but you can't see it in the camera. And yeah, just some random stuff. I do have one piece of rose quartz here. And another piece, another small rose quartz, and a couple of littles. That one's like a little bit of a little bitty like moss agate. You kind of see the clear agate, and then it's got the moss in it. It's all smooth. And one little piece of Botswana agate. So we got all that. I'll throw in some a little bit of media. All right, and I will get this. I'll have to, if you've never been around a Lotto tumbler before, you put all your stuff in there like that with water in it. It's full of water right now. And then you just put your fingers over the top and you dump it upside down until the water quits running out, because you want all the rocks inside to be wet but no standing water. So I will get my camera set up on the tumbler and I'll get that water drained out and we'll set it on there, and I'll show you what it looks like when you get it rolling, and we'll add the media, or the grit, I mean. We'll start with 180-220 medium grit in the Lotto tumbler, and we'll be back over by the tumbler in a sec. All right, we're back on the tumbler, and I've got all the water dumped out, so everything inside is just wet with no standing water. And it gets a little bit loud once we get it rolling here, so I'll talk through what we're going to do. We're just going to, a lot of people say 2 tablespoons of the 180-220 grit on the Lotto, and I feel like I have a hard time getting the rocks to roll as good in medium as I do when I go to pre-polish and polish. They roll a lot better in those stages, and I don't know if it's just the coarseness of the grit or what, but I've been messing around with my medium stage, and it turns out nice when I did the 2, but I've been doing a tablespoon and a half, basically. And I've tried borax in there, and it didn't really seem like it helped me too much, so I'm going to just try another one. Just a tablespoon and a half of the 180-220 grit, and I'll let it run for, I try to go for 3 days, but sometimes I feel like I can't get it to roll, and I'll take it out after like 2.5 or whatever. So as long as it goes somewhere along there, I've always had decent results. Looks like I need a little bit more media. I wasn't sure if I had enough or not. And here is the 180-220 silica carbide grit. There's 1 tablespoon. I could probably just dump it in, but I try to spread it out a little bit as it rolls. Give it a little bit more, about a half or so. Seems like an awful lot of grit. When you do polish and pre-polish, it's like a half a tablespoon or a half a teaspoon. So that's why I feel like the medium grit doing 2 tablespoons just seems a bit excessive. But we'll all run like that. You can see everything's got a good coating of grit on it. So I feel like that should be enough. And it might need a shot of water. That media I put in was dry, and the grit soaks up a little water, so. Alright, well, we'll let that roll for at least 2.5 days. I'm going to try to let it go 3, but we'll see how the rolling action goes after it starts to get a lot of rock dust in there and it kind of gets gummy, and then it doesn't seem like it wants to roll very well. But we'll be back after a few days. Today our rocks in the Lotto tumbler are done with medium grit. They've been in there for 3 days, and I've already added a little extra water and some soap, just some liquid dish soap. They say it helps get the grit and slurry off the rocks when you wash it. So I do that about a half an hour before I'm going to wash them. So they were going going like that. So we'll dump them and rinse them off. there's how they look washed after 3 days in medium. They're looking nice. I put them in a bucket of water here and just use that to keep them wet, and then I'll go through and I'll clean them a little bit better. And then we'll get them loaded back up into the lot-0 tumblers, and we'll be ready to move to the next stage. All right, I'll wash them, go through them a little bit better, and we'll be ready to load them up and move to the next stage when I come back. All right, I washed through all the rocks and I rinsed all the media out real well, and I put water in the barrel and put everything back in the barrel, and then you just cover the opening with your fingers like that and tip it up, let all the water run out, because you want everything inside to be wet but no standing water. And we're back on the tumbler, and we are ready to go into pre-polish, which is 500 grit silicon carbide. So we'll get it rolling, and we'll add it's a half a teaspoon of the silicon carbide, and also I add 1 tablespoon of borax just to help stick the grit to the rocks, and it seems like it does a better job. So we'll get it rolling, we'll add our grit, and we'll go for, I try to go at least 2, but if it goes 3 before I get to it, I'm good with that too. There's the borax. And I think I need to add a little bit more media. It's a little low. This is the mixture of the large and the small. This is dry. I'll probably have to add some more water after I do this, but that's alright. That's better. And here is that's what the pre-polish, the 500 grit silicon carbide looks like. It's a very fine powder. Gotta get my half tablespoon. Half a teaspoon of 500 grit. And there we have it. I'll let that roll for at least 2 days. I'll see how it's doing, and I might let it go a little longer, but I let it go at least 2 days. And I'll check it a few times a day to make sure it's got enough water. Today our rocks have been in the 500 grit aluminum oxide pre-polish for 3 days, and I already added a little extra water and some Dawn dish soap. It helps wash the slurry and stuff off the rocks. They clean up a little faster that way. So I only run 1 barrel, so when I go from my pre-polish to polish, I'm going to rinse everything off here and wash everything up real good, and I'll put it all back in the barrel, and I'll run a wash cycle essentially. I'll just put some borax in it, like a tablespoon or 2, doesn't really matter, and I'll run it for a couple hours just to make sure the barrel's clean and clean the rocks better. And then when I'm done with that, I'll wash that all out, and then we'll be ready to move on to the polish cycle. So we'll clean them all up here, and we'll get them going into the wash cycle. like to dump them in my bucket of water here. Just give them a better rinse. You know what? I'm going to do a wash cycle. I'm just going to skip that today. All right. Put some water in there. Everything's looking really nice. Pretty excited about this batch. We'll see how it turns out. All right, I'll dump the water off of those and we'll get them on the tumbler with some borax in it for a couple hours. And then I'll be back and we will rinse them again and put them into polish. All right, so these have been running in a wash cycle for a couple hours. And we will rinse through them. We'll rinse through them real fast and I'll go through and wash all the rocks. And we'll be ready to get it into the polish stage. Good. All right, well, I'm going to load. There's what they look like. All cleaned up and wet. Looking, hopefully they look that nice when they're all polished, but I'm just going to load them back in the barrel and I'll roll them on the tumbler for 3 days with half a teaspoon of the 1200 grit aluminum oxide polish and a tablespoon of borax. And when we come back, they should be done. All right, they've been going for 3 days in polish and they're done. So we'll rinse them off here quick and take a quick look, and I'll wash them and scrub them better, and we'll take a closer look at what they look like. I did add some extra water and some dish soap before I took them off, and they ran them about, I suppose, 45 minutes, almost an hour. They say that that helps get the slurry and stuff off. And it's easy, so I do it. look really nice wet. But I'll go through them and wash them real good, give them a scrub if they need it, and I'll be back and we'll look at the finished product. All right, so we're all done rinsing and everything is pretty well dry, and we're gonna take a little look at some of them. I think they all turned out pretty nice. Got a lot of good shine on a few of them. So this is a piece of crazy lace. That stuff just kind of blows my mind how it's formed and how cool it looks. You can see how good it shines. It looks really nice. And then we've got some quartz. We've got some rose quartz here. And we've got a couple pieces of clear quartz. It looks really nice, but it's clear, so you can see fractures in it, but it's all smooth on the outside. And I don't know what this green rock is, but it took a nice shine. I'm sure I could look that one up, and I've seen it in some of the websites I look at rock, and I don't remember what it was called, but it looks nice. I had a glass tumble that I did here a while back, and I didn't realize that I had one that was still in. So we've got one piece of glass. And I got one piece of labradorite that was in this tumble. If I can find, there's some rainbow, the effect on the top there. And let's see if we can make it. Oh, there's some right there on the top again. Nice little rainbow flash, whatever that's called. Yeah, you can see a little bit right there. We might have to get some more of that and do some more of that. That's pretty neat. I've only got just a couple pieces of that. And then we've got a pretty good selection of the Bahia agates. That one turned out pretty nice. You can see how nice they shine. This one's got a little band of quartz going through it. And it's got some pretty neat stuff going on. I didn't realize that those were going to shine up as nice as they did, but man, they sure did turn out nice. There's several of those in this batch. I think this one is one of my favorites. It's got this pocket of quartz, and it kind of ate that stuff out a little faster, or wore it away faster, but this one, it's got some bands in it there, and it shined up real nice. That thing's like a mirror. And then the quartz looks really cool on that one too. I guess there's a couple little spots in the quartz, but it looks pretty nice either way. It had this big crack in it there and here, and I knew that we weren't going to get that out, so we moved it on before we tumbled all the coolness away. It's got some pretty neat bands running through all these areas here and along there. But yeah, that one's pretty nice. I like that one. This is another Bahia agate, and it doesn't have as much stuff going on. And you can see that little crack right there, but you can't feel it. It's crazy how some of that stuff shows up after it dries. But it looks nice. It's got good shine. And what else do we have? We've got some pieces of random jasper that I got in a random box that I bought. Let's see. Here's another piece that was in there. Doesn't have too much going on, but it does have a good shine. And we've got some Botswana agates. This is one that I actually cut in the saw. I don't know why it's got the look like fractures on that side, but it's hard to see, but there's some bands. It looks like it might have a little bit of transparency to it in the middle there. But it shined up real nice. I got some more Botswana agates here. The bands on those are so neat. This one's kind of got, I don't know if they call it eyes or it kind of goes down into the rocks. Sometimes they call them tube agates. I'm not sure, but it was one of those things that we couldn't tumble it away no matter what we did. And let's see, there's another Botswana agate. Kind of see the bands there. Not as much action on that one, but it's got some stuff over here. All right, this one's pretty nice. The bands on that one are just really cool. And a random piece of something I don't know what it is. Doesn't have a whole lot going on, but it looks pretty neat. Here's another one that's, I think it's some kind of agate because this end over here has some transparency to it if you put a light on it. I guess I could grab a light, but I don't have that ready, so we're not doing that today. Another random one that I don't know what it is, but it turned out nice. And my favorite piece of the whole batch is this one. This is the very first piece of petrified wood I ever found. And I didn't tumble it for a long time, but we decided we would tumble it. It's got some cracks in it, but it does not want to focus for me very well. There we go. It turned out pretty nice. Camera is not cooperating with me. There it is. Oh, it's got some sparkles in it right there. That's pretty neat. I've never noticed that. So all of these rocks were tumbled in the rotary tumbler until we decided they were ready to go to medium grit, and then we put them in the lot-0 tumbler, the vibrator, for the medium grit, the pre-polish, and the polish, and we did 3 days apiece, and I think they turned out pretty nice. So now we've got an empty lot-0 tumbler, and I think it's about time that we're going to get our next batch started. So thanks for watching, and if you have any comments or questions or anything like that, don't be afraid to ask. And if you're new, you could subscribe, and we're going to be putting out a lot of stuff like this. And we've got a few other series of different material that we're tumbling, and we've got some other things in plan for next, well, after the end of December. When we get into 21, we're going to get into a couple different things, so we'll see how it goes. So, again, thanks for watching.